How's it going, Reef Keepers? I actually filmed an initial version of this video while I was doing work under the tank. You can see all the cords are, really awry right now because I decided to do kind of a significant project while I was in the middle of a smaller project. So even though I cleaned this protein skimmer out, the pump started chugging, indicating that it needed way more of a deep clean. So I pulled it all apart. And then I realized that having the protein skimmer out gave me access to my whole back wall. And I've been experiencing, for the first time in over 5 years, by the way, I think 5.5 years, a couple errors with this Helio PTC heating system by Innovative Marine. And the only error that was going on was that it was not detecting the temperature sensor. So I've had mothballed a new version of the Helio, and it's actually already it's installed. So that's a brand new one. And I said to myself, all right, this is cycled on and off for 5 years. It's a great heating system, it's expensive, but I should just replace it, right? Now, I'm of the mindset that cords in a reef tank are a necessary evil, but you should try to mitigate the mess, right? You should try to mitigate the chaos, so to speak, of cords in this hobby. So I tried to mitigate it, and it's not a perfect system, but what I did when I put everything together was I had these cord chases. There's two of them, one high, one low. And to be honest with you, that system was amazing for 3 months. Until I needed to switch around the position of something. And then I had to, rip everything out of those cord chases and put it all back, and it wasn't quite right. And then, I added something and then added something else and then swapped something in for something else. You get the idea. And slowly but surely, the cord chases weren't enough, or I didn't want to put pressure on cords going to sensitive electronics. So I started hanging the cords outside. I started, bunching cords. And slowly the chaos began to work its way in, right? Every once in a while, every 6 months, I go through and I put a whole bunch of zip ties on everything and try to put it all back together. But it feels like it's a curse. A week later, I have to snap all those zip ties and fix something, right? It's a constant battle. And additionally, and some of you who, have your first big tank may have experienced this situation. So over here on the controller side, you can see right there is my grommet, and it's a standard 2 or 3 inch diameter grommet. Now when you first start a new reef tank of this magnitude, right, 110 gallon reef system, anything over 100 gallon system, I would say, you don't understand everything you're eventually going to put on that tank, especially if you're a gear nut. And those cords in that back grommet area behind this trident, which, by the way, great placement, man. It makes it so hard. I have to pull the trident forward and work in the blind to get back there. Pulling anything out of that is an absolute nightmare of, wrenching on it, and it just is a mess. So what I ended up doing with this Helio system was I had to untangle every one of these lines. There's 2 heater element lines here, there's 1 power line here, and there's 1 temperature line here. It was, bar none, the worst electrical nightmare that I've ever experienced, right? So there is another way to do electrical on reef tanks. And that way is take appropriate precautions, like mounting your power bricks apart so that they don't cause a heat problem, and make sure you drip loop everything at some point in the line, but then just kind of mass your cords together and don't really try to manage it, just try to hide the nest, so to speak. And more, I feel like there's something to that, because when you have a nest, if you have to pull something out, you can kind of just unplug it from the source outlet and then just kind of shake it through the nest and get that power cord out, right? And everything's kind of loose, so you can, it looks tangled, but it's not necessarily tangled to the point that you're gonna have to undo a vast amount of work and then redo a vast amount of work to get it in and out. So that, in my estimation, there's really 3 ways, I guess. There's 2 right ways and 1 wrong way. One right way is you have a nest that's hidden and you've taken appropriate precautions, right? But you've got a nest somewhere. 2, you try and fail desperately to manage the amount of cordage, right? I guess if you're obsessive and fastidious and you really have a ton of room to utilize, right, or you hire an expert or something, you could conceivably keep the cordage perfect, but it's hard, right? And then 3, there's just like, and we've all seen them, everything is the wrong way. All the power bricks are all wound together at the bottom of a cord nest, so they're generating tons of heat. There's no drip loops, and it's just like, I'll get to that next week forever, right? Until they get a new tank, or like, hopefully not, but like the house burns down. So, new people in the hobby, you kind of have to choose a route, and the more I struggle with trying to mitigate the cord chaos, the more I think that, maybe the best route is just give yourself tons of open space to hang cords, maybe try to make them look a little bit neat, but like ultimately take your precautions and then just kind of let the cords fall where they will, so that you can work things free and work freely when you need to in your tank or in your electrical system, right? But yeah, I'll keep fighting the war, because you guys know eventually the OCD with my reef tank gets to me. Like right now it's getting to me, but I did too much work today. Like I got to come back to this and try to address these cords, but it's driving me crazy. Like it's already driving me crazy. Part of it's just your personality. Like I can't escape being obsessive about this. Like I'm gonna have to get in here and zip tie some stuff, and then the next day something's gonna break and I'm gonna have to get in here and clip all the zip ties. So anyway, I just figured I would talk about cordage, right? And it's a crazy part of the hobby. All right, guys, take it easy.